So the US government just unbanned the world's most powerful AI model, and it's going to be gone in 5 days once again. Claude Fable 5 was revoked by the US government a couple of weeks ago due to cybersecurity and safety concerns, but it has just been reinstated. However, Anthropic has announced that after July 7th, so hopefully you're watching this video before then, it will move to usage credits only, which for most of us means we will not be able to use it anymore. So in this video, I'll tell you the 5 best ways to use it and the most you can get out of it before it is gone again. And keep in mind, even during this 5-day window, it is still capped at 50% of your weekly limit, which is a lot, but very little if you're on the $20 Pro plan. So we're gonna have to get as much out of it as we possibly can, because of course, it's really, really hard to use Fable given that it's so expensive already. But first, some background. So Fable is Claude's Mythos 5 class model. However, it's the consumer version that is more cybersecurity friendly, but at its core, it is the exact same model packaged. The punchline is that the longer and more complex the task is, the larger Fable leads over all other previous models. There's 2 types of core work when you use Claude. There's build work and run work. So the build work is building the infrastructure like skills and Claude MDs that actually allow the agents to perform better. The run work is the actual execution. And what I'm going to propose that we do is use Fable for the build work now so that we can use any other model we want in a week or 2 for the run work on Fable's foundations, which is going to increase the output quality of even the worst models we have out right now. So you can't afford the world-class quality Fable 5 model forever, but you can build an architecture or foundation with it that will survive the new banning or restriction of the model that's going to come in 5 days. It doesn't inherently make other models smarter, but if you build a system properly that is actually tailored to how AI works, it will perform better in the long term. And since Fable is really up to date and trained well, and of course it is a world-class model, the systems it's able to build are more complex and yet higher quality at the same time. And so now we'll actually get into what to build with Fable. The first and highest leverage is your skill library. Skills are reusable instructions that Claude can spawn at any time in order to get all of the context on something you want to do. Skills are great for repetitive tasks like video editing, writing, coding, literally anything. I have a specific skill that I use daily, and it's called session handoff, where when I'm running out of context in a session, I just run /handoff, and it gives me a huge summary for the next session that transfers the context over instead of starting fresh every time. This is what skills are good for, repetitive tasks that are high value. So there are 2 ways you can use Fable for this. The first is to have it actually write brand new skills. For every recurring workflow that you've been improvising or randomly doing from scratch, you can write it as a skill now. And that's probably good to do in the first place, whether it's Fable or Opus or whatever model you're using, because if you are repeatedly doing tasks, these skills are the solution. And then the second and probably more valuable one is have it harden and improve the skills that you already have existing. You can prompt it and ask to find flaws in it and then fix those flaws so that it will perform better in the future. You can have it stress test the skills, find issues with it, and then improve those issues. So that way, even when Fable is gone, its superior reasoning and fixes still remain for all the other models to use. The whole thesis is you're using the smartest model there is to write instructions so that when it's gone, those instructions still remain for all the other models to use. Just because a world-class professor is gone or dead doesn't mean that the teachings of them are suddenly obsolete. They still remain and even strengthen over time. The second build is your instructions layer. This is your Claude MD, your project files, and any sort of pipelines that you currently have active. A good way to do this is literally have Fable interview you about your business, your life, your workflows, your projects, and it will automatically find places to improve. A strength of Fable that actually doesn't have anything to do with its reasoning capabilities is the fact that it is a more recently trained model, so it's more up to date on the current world events. So it's also very well trained on issues that everyone is having with AI. A good example of one is sycophancy, which is where Claude is your yes man and tells you what you want to hear because it's too agreeable. And given that it knows about that and how it works, it can actively create prompts in your Claude MD, which is basically the instructions that all of your models get, to try and combat this. And so a good example would be to have it edit your global Claude MD or any sort of system prompts that you're sending out to combat frequent mistakes of lower level AI models. Build number 3 is a knowledge architecture, which is the second brain you've been hearing all about. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Obsidian second brain because I think it has a lot of flaws and it's a big marketing trend. But what is valuable in it is the schema and the idea in itself, and Fable will actually be able to identify these flaws and build the system. This is actually exactly what I did before it got banned the first time, is I used Obsidian for a second knowledge base, but I noticed that Claude was not picking up the information at all. It was like the people who promised these wonderful Obsidian second brains in YouTube videos, it wasn't following through, it wasn't fulfilling that wish. And so Fable was able to identify why and implement a solution to a brain that now functions a bit better than Obsidian. Something I would urge you to do is ask Fable to explain to you, or not even Fable, you can ask Sonnet, what hooks are, how they work, because hooks are basically injected into the prompt every single time an agent either sends a message, finishes working, calls a tool or a skill, and it forces it to follow certain rules. This is great when you require it to actually look at your Obsidian brain in every prompt that you send so that it always pulls the right information. This is something more in depth for a whole different video, but definitely something worth asking Fable about or using Fable to do is develop a second brain or a knowledge base for your models. Build number 4 is automations and pipelines. So this is things like video editing, which literally this video is edited by Claude and the design was made by Fable. Like, I'm quite literally using the contents of this video to make this video. I have Fable create these skills, the architecture and the prompts to enhance the quality of the output that Opus or Sonnet will do in literally editing this video. Fable just seems overall better at thinking in systems to me, and so a big problem that I would have is the graphics in the videos would be really low quality. They wouldn't be organized, they'd be hard to see, which you might even notice some of that in the video now, but if you look at past videos, it has improved drastically because Fable is able to identify logical flaws or reasoning flaws in things like Opus and Sonnet, fix those in the skills that I use, that way they don't ever reproduce them again, even when Fable is gone. That is the whole premise of this video, is using Fable to build an architecture that remains when it is no longer here, that makes the other agents better. And then build number 5 is kind of like taking out the trash. I feel like a lot of people have a someday list or a very long to-do list of all these things that need to get done with AI, whether it's refactoring a code base, completely changing the UI, migrating a database, or the less complicated things. Something that's super ratchet and that you haven't actually put the time into building properly, Fable is your perfect opportunity to finish it now. These are maximum reasoning outputs that are permanent. So things like these skills that I talked about earlier. Something that's hard to do one time but remains forever afterwards, use Fable. The perfect example is the video editing that I just talked about. Like, this video is going to be edited by Sonnet and Opus, but the structure for it was written by Fable. Now, this wouldn't be a good video if I didn't tell you what not to use Fable for. Do not just go back and forth with Fable in conversation because it is absurdly expensive. So you do that, you're going to use up all of your credits, and then you're not going to have any time to build the systems we talked about throughout this entire video. This includes routine tasks, writing, simple stuff. The stuff that Fable excels at are long and complex tasks, as well as high reasoning tasks. So things like systems and skills, logical reasoning, fallacies, biases, general fixes that have to do with principles, not actual application. So don't have Fable make you a website, have Fable make you a skill that is properly structured so that Opus can make you a website 100 times over once Fable is gone. And I'm kind of selling myself out here, but another bad thing you can do is going and watching Fable content. You could spend the next 3 days watching content, getting up to date on the new AI trends and all the new cool releases because Sonnet 5 just came out too, and then you completely miss your opportunity in the first place. Now, I'm not saying to stop watching my video, but what I'm saying is take one video that you watch, go and actually apply it, and then if you run out of usage, go back and watch more videos. But in the meantime, you have 5 days and it's gone for God knows how long. So if you're trying to plan some immaculate cool thing to do with Fable and you're trying to over prepare because you know you only have 5 days to do it and you have to make the best of it, don't watch YouTube videos on how to do it, just go do the thing. That means this video too. So if there's something you need to do, just pause it. You can come back later once Fable's gone. So here's the final checklist for you to actually apply Fable in the next 5 days before it's gone. First, list your recurring workflows. What are the things that you do all day, every day, repetitively? Have Fable make a skill out of it. Second, do a deep pass on all of your already existing skills, instructions, Claude MDs, prompts, files, anything to improve it. And then pick one thing, or more if you need be, that you know you need to build that is probably more important than what you want to build that will actually help you in the future, and use Fable for that. Fourth is system over polish. So don't have Fable make you a sexy website. Instead, have it make you a system that allows Opus to make you sexy websites way after Fable is gone. A good litmus test for you to do whether you want to know to apply Fable to something or not, or if it's even valuable to do in the first place, is will this still be around? Will I still be using this repetitively after July 7th? If it will not be around after July 7th, don't work on it. It's just a fun task. And you could look at this video from like two perspectives. One is like, it's a cool, fun video where I tell you stuff about Fable and you're sitting on it. But the other perspective is there's a good number of people that are trying to do business or make a life out of this. And this genuinely is a quality opportunity. Now, Fable isn't like AGI or some magical model, but it genuinely is better than Opus. And it is genuinely advantageous for you to use it while you have it to build systems and take it seriously, not just goof off with it. I hope this video was somewhat helpful. So I hope you can definitely go and actually apply this. Use Fable to the best. And this doesn't necessarily only apply to Fable. A lot of these things, such as creating skills and automating systems that you do all the time, you should do with anything. They're just better off to use a better model to do because they will provide better results. But realistically, if you're prompting AI every single day to do the same thing, you need a skill for it regardless. And of course, feel free to join the school community. The link is in the description. At the time of filming this video, it is free, but it is going to become a paid community in the future to weed out the people that aren't serious with AI and are just there. And one reminder is that Fable isn't technically banned or gone after July 7th. It just moves to usage credits, which majority of us, myself included, are not able to afford. And so we need to get the best out of it while it's still on our plans. But for those of you who are able to afford the usage credits, this still applies to, but you're not really on a time constraint. All that's changed is that you have 5 days to prioritize the more important systems-based stuff, get it done with Fable, and then when it's gone, you can continue on all the other tasks that your heart desires. Good luck.